So, you get fired. What do? Update your resume? Maybe start a podcast? Niccolò Machiavelli, after being unceremoniously booted from his job as a Florentine diplomat, tortured and exiled in 1513, decided to write the most infamous job application in history. It was a little book called The Prince, dedicated to Lorenzo de' Medici, the man whose family had just ruined his life. The subtext was screamingly obvious. You guys are terrible at this whole ruling thing. You need a guy who understands how the world actually works. Hire me. He wasn't trying to be evil, he was trying to be employed. Machiavelli was basically the first political consultant writing a free, unsolicited proposal that just happened to become the foundational text for 4 centuries of ruthless ambition. Everyone knows, Machiavelli said, the ends justify the means. Except he never actually wrote those words. It's a great summary, but the reality is more nuanced and, frankly, more chilling. His actual point was that in the grand calculus of statecraft, the survival and stability of the state are the only virtues that matter. If a ruler has to lie, cheat, or eliminate a rival to prevent a civil war that would kill thousands, is that act evil? Machiavelli would just shrug. He'd point to his poster boy, Cesare Borgia, a man who invited his enemies to dinner for peace talks and had them all strangled. Horrifying? Yes. Effective? Also yes. For a brief, shining moment, Borgia brought stability to a chaotic region. That's the kind of brutal math Machiavelli was interested in. Here's another classic. It is better to be feared than loved. People hear that and picture a cackling tyrant, but that's missing the point entirely. Machiavelli's logic is painfully practical. Love, he argues, is held by a chain of obligation, which, because men are rotten, is broken at every opportunity for their own advantage. Fear, however, is held by a dread of punishment, which never fails. It's about predictability. A loved ruler can be betrayed the moment it's convenient. A feared ruler, who punishes treason swiftly and predictably, makes betrayal a very stupid career move. The crucial distinction, the part everyone forgets, is to avoid being hated. Don't steal your subjects' property or their women. People will tolerate a stern leader, but they will rise up against a rapacious vulture. Fear is a tool for order. Hatred is an invitation to revolution. Machiavelli believed if you're going to be cruel, you should at least be efficient about it. He had a whole theory on cruelty well used. His advice is shockingly direct. If you take over a new state, you must identify all the people who might challenge you and eliminate them. All at once. Do all the necessary bloodshed in one swift, terrible stroke at the beginning. The shock will be immense, but then it's over. The population, seeing that the violence has stopped, will slowly forget and feel secure again. You can then start bestowing benefits and win them over. The alternative, cruelty badly used, is to drag it out. A small execution here, a little political purge there. This doesn't pacify people, it creates a state of perpetual anxiety where everyone wonders if they're next. It's bad for morale and terrible for business. If there was one thing that sent Nickel into a full-blown rant, it was mercenaries. He despised them with the fire of 1,000 suns. He saw firsthand how these soldiers for hire, the condottieri, would fight with all the passion of someone working an hourly job they hate. They were expensive, disloyal, and brilliant at avoiding actual, decisive battles, because a dead enemy is an enemy who can't pay for a rematch next season. His solution was radical for the time: a citizen militia, an army made of your own people, fighting for their own homes, their own state. These soldiers might not be as polished as the professionals, but their loyalty wasn't tied to a bank transfer. It was a shockingly patriotic and modern idea, buried in a book famous for its cynicism. A prince, Machiavelli says, needs to understand the nature of beasts, specifically two of them, the lion and the fox. Being a lion is great. You're strong, you can frighten the wolves, and no one messes with you in a straight-up fight. The problem is, lions are notoriously bad at spotting traps. They just blunder right into them. That's where the fox comes in. The fox is cunning. The fox can't fight a wolf, but it can recognize a trap from a mile away and knows how to avoid it. A ruler who is only a lion will inevitably be outsmarted. A ruler who is only a fox will be crushed by the first person who isn't afraid of them. The successful prince embodies both, the overwhelming strength to deter enemies and the shrewd cunning to navigate the webs of intrigue and deceit that define politics. Let's talk about promises. According to Machiavelli, a wise ruler cannot and should not keep his word when it is to his disadvantage, because the men you are dealing with are not going to keep their word to you. It's a game of mutual deception. He pointed to Pope Alexander VI, a man who did nothing else but deceive men nor ever thought of anything else, and he was wildly successful. The real genius, however, isn't just in lying. It's in maintaining the appearance of virtue. A prince must seem merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright. It's a full-time acting job. He says people judge more by their eyes than by their hands. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. In politics, perception management isn't just important, it's everything. This is where things get uncomfortable. Machiavelli viewed fortune, or fortuna, as a powerful force, a wild river that could flood everything. He believed it governed about half of human affairs. The other half? That was up to us, our virtù, our skill, drive, and manliness. To control the river, you had to build dams and levees. To control fortune, you had to be proactive and bold. Then he makes his most infamous analogy. He says, "Fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under, it is necessary to beat and ill-use her." It is jarringly brutal and misogynistic. His larger point, stripped of the awful metaphor, is that it's better to be impetuous than cautious. Timid leaders wait for fortune to hand them something. Great leaders grab it by the throat and impose their will upon it. Still, maybe he could have workshopped that metaphor a bit. For a guy with a reputation for loving tyranny, Machiavelli was surprisingly pro-people, or at least anti-noble. He argued that a prince has two groups to worry about, the nobles and the common people. The nobles are the real danger. They consider themselves your equals and are always looking for a chance to usurp you. The people, on the other hand, have much simpler demands. They just want not to be oppressed. Their ambition is defensive. Therefore, a wise prince should build his power on the support of the people. It's a more stable foundation. He explicitly states that the best fortress there is not being hated by the people. If your subjects love you, or at least don't despise you, no fortress wall is as strong as their goodwill when foreign invaders or treacherous nobles come knocking. So, was Machiavelli the devil's speechwriter? A teacher of evil? Probably not. He was a political scientist. Maybe the very first one. He wasn't prescribing how the world should be, he was dissecting how it is. He lived in a time when Italy was a violent, chaotic mess, a playground for the armies of France and Spain. His beloved Florence was constantly at risk. The Prince is less a handbook for villains and more a desperate, pragmatic scream into the void. He saw weak, indecisive, and moralizing leaders get their people slaughtered. He wanted a leader, a redeemer, who had the guts to do the necessary, ugly things to forge a strong, unified state that could kick everyone else out. He didn't invent this kind of politics. He just had the audacity to write it all down and hold up a mirror to power. And we've been arguing about the reflection ever since. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds!